Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast.
Team 145 has really done a really good job up to this point and taken the necessary steps to be elite, to do all the things that we set out to do. Win the big games, beat our rivals, beat Ohio State, win the Big 10, go to college football playoff and win it. For us, that's something we strive to do. Tough, smart, dependable, relentless, enthusiastic, and together is how I describe our team. We're going to do everything we can to strive for perfection. Everything we do every day is a process, and we'll continue to strive to do that. And we'll continue to do that with contagious enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
That, of course, is head coach Sherrone Moore from his opening remarks at last week's Big 10 Media Days. Go Blue, and welcome back. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Today marks our return to weekly programming as we begin our previews of the upcoming season. I think most of us would agree that Big 10 Media Days signals the start of another season. So much has changed since we hung that national championship banner in January, but much really is the same. Team 145 has big goals and high expectations. There are question marks, but there are every year at this time. The last major recruiting event before the season begins took place over the weekend with the barbecue in the Big House. The event received high praise from those who attended, and hopefully will add some new verbals in the coming days and weeks to what is shaping up to be maybe a top 10 class for Sherrone and his staff. Now it's time to get ready for another season as practice gets underway this week. There is so much work to be done, and there will be heated competition for starting jobs, especially on the offensive side. My guest today has seen a few great Michigan coaches come and go, but he thinks the transition from Jim to Sherrone has been as smooth as any he's seen. Joining us next is the longtime senior editor and writer from the Wolverine Magazine, John Borton. So stay with us. Joining us on our Game Day segment this week as we begin to prepare for the fast approaching season is senior editor John Borton from the Wolverine Magazine. Great to have you back with us, John.
It's good to be with you, and I'll tell you what, we were just talking before we began about how fast it seems like the summer goes sometimes, and football can't get here soon enough for a lot of people, especially when you're talking about coming off of a national championship season. Yes, there have been a lot of changes, but at the same time, you've got a tremendous amount of continuity, given the fact that you lost a lot of people, including the head coach. And so I think that there's plenty to be excited about in this season to come.
Well, you can feel the excitement growing. And, when you look back, as you and I talked about before we started taping, it really has gone by fast, celebrating a national championship. Jim leaving for L.A. Within days of winning the national championship, everything started to change on the horizon, and Sherrone Moore was named head coach. So we've had a while to watch him in action, being a head coach. Have you been impressed or surprised at how well he seems to have transitioned to that position?
I have been enormously impressed. I'm telling you what, I've seen a lot of coaching changes over the years, but this is one of the most seamless, one of the most smooth, one that doesn't give you the feeling like, what's around the corner, because, okay, we're blowing things up and, it's going to be different and this and that. They're coming off great success the past 3 years. They're coming off a national championship, and you're getting a guy who is totally versed in everything that went into that in Sherrone Moore. You've got a guy that was directing the offense. You've got a guy that stepped in Penn State when he didn't know he was going to be for sure if he was going to be the head coach that day, until a last minute decision came down from or a non-decision from a judge on appeal. he stepped in there. He has gone toe-to-toe with Ohio State. He knows the traditions. He doesn't just talk about his own sayings, smash and things like that. He's talking, he'll quote Jack Harbaugh, enthusiasm unknown to mankind, and he'll quote Bo, the team, the team, the team. His roots are all about what Michigan's about. And the things that he has done in retaining players that are key players to this, and getting a guy like Wink Martindale, who was going to keep things rolling on the defense like it did, and these players saying we still want to do these things what we were doing, and Wink's all about that, and saying, we're gonna change some things, we're gonna tweak some things, but the heart of this defense I came up with, so don't worry about that. Kirk Campbell on the offensive side, he was the guy directing the quarterbacks, and he knows all about running this offense. Being close to Sherrone Moore as he is and was, Sherrone Moore's excited about him running the offense. There's so many things that, yes, major changes, but at the same time, wow, you're taking the heart of what was done to accomplish all that you did, not only last year, but the last 3 years, and rolling that over and maintaining the culture that you have. And so I think that Sherrone Moore has done an exceptional job with all of that and making it as seamless as possible. He says right up front, I'm not Jim Harbaugh, not going to try to be, but he knows how they all collectively got it done. And I'll tell you, I'll add another thing. You talk about him going down to Indianapolis for the Big Ten football meetings. He didn't walk up to that podium like a scared rookie, or stumbling his way, or trying to not say the wrong thing or make a mistake. He walked up there like he owned the room, not in an arrogant way, but in a very confident way. And I think that impressed a lot of people. He said, here's what we're about. Here's what we're going to remain about. And this is how we're going to go forward. And I think if you're a Michigan fan listening in on that, it's just more evidence that, hey, this guy's ready to step right in there.
He was very relaxed. I was very impressed with him last week in Indy at Media Days. As you were talking about the staff that he's put together, really just a few holdovers, Bellamy, Coach Newsom. Everyone else is new, but I think what's impressed me too, and you never know, we have to give it time, see what happens during the season or the next few seasons, but this staff seems to really have meshed together well and with the players, haven't they?
I think so, yeah. And it's some of that stuff that I touched on. Wink Martindale, okay, we've kind of had this Ravens tap in as far as the defense, a big defensive turnaround. And you've had players or coaches rather out of that system. Okay, you lose your defensive coordinator from last year, and what's going to happen? They bring in Wink Martindale that these other guys learn from, and he is a guy that is going to direct things in a way that will keep the spirit of what that defense was last year, and I think the players are very excited about that. People were worried a little bit at first that, okay, how much of a gunslinger is he in terms of blitzing all the time or over blitzing or whatever, and he says, look, we're going to adjust to every single opponent as we get them, as whatever is going to be the best way to approach those opponents. That's what we're going to do. On the offensive side, Kirk Campbell, Sherrone Moore loves to tell the story now about having to send Kirk Campbell home, kick him out of the building, basically, because he was after the national championship. Kirk Campbell's watching film and raging to himself over someone running a route wrong or this or that. It's like, Sherrone Moore, dude, we just want it all. Go home. But that shows you the intensity of Kirk Campbell, and I've talked to him for our football preview that we put out, and he just is so much attention to detail, and so I think he's very aware that people are saying coming into the season. Okay, you're going to have a great defense. You know that. But you lost your quarterback. You lost your star running back. You lost your entire offensive line. So it's really going to be, you're going to take a major step back on offense. He's not hearing it. He won't have it. He says these guys on the offensive line have started games. It's their time to step up. Donovan Edwards says the same thing. It's like, okay, yeah, we have something to prove, but we're going about things in a way that we can prove it. And so, the people that we've talked to, the new guys have been, I think, very impressive. Lamar Morgan, the passing game coordinator and the defensive backs coach, very impressive. And other guys like Grant Newsome. I mean, he's been a part of things, and taking over that offensive line, you absolutely know he knows exactly what Sherrone Moore wants. And the head coach is not going to be too far away from that offensive line, knowing that he's going to get the results that he wants, just like he's produced the last few years. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of continuity there despite a lot of new faces.
Well, as always, the Big Ten Media Day sort of signals the beginning of another season for me, and it was exciting, as we said, very impressive to listen to Coach Moore, hear from the guys, always a lot of excitement there. Here we go. After Big Ten Media Days, I call it the speculation phase of the season, because now for 3 or 4 weeks, we wonder what is going to happen. How good is Michigan going to be? We think very good, but all eyes, I think, in the next 4 weeks, and this I get this from my listeners every day, is watching that quarterback competition and see who emerges as the guy or guys under center in the opener. That's going to be fun to watch, isn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think, and not only watching who the guy is that takes the first snap, but seeing how the mix is among what I think would be generally acknowledged as a top three. We saw Davis Warren sort of stand out in the spring game and be the most effective guy that was out there. He may end up being number 3 when they open up. We'll watch that, but he can certainly throw the football. Alex Orji is the most well-rounded in terms of being able to run and throw the football, but there are questions about whether or not he can be consistent enough with some of those downfield throws and all to be the guy, when you have to go to a heavy passing game. And then there's Jack Tuttle, who wasn't even around in spring ball because of injury. And yet I have a sneaking feeling he's going to play a major role. You're talking about a 7-year senior, a guy that has been around college football, played behind Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy. It's not like Jack Tuttle was number 2 to some schlubs. He was number 2 or behind some of the guys that were amazing college quarterbacks, and they're going to be NFL quarterbacks. I get the feeling, and we'll see how this plays out, that Jack Tuttle may be the guy that takes that first snap. That would be my early prediction, and but with a heavy dose of Alex Orji coming in, maybe in some ways like J.J. McCarthy did when he was a freshman. We'll see. But I think that, I don't know that there'll be one guy who, like J.J. McCarthy did last year, goes out there and you just know he's it from start to finish, unless he gets banged up for a series.
Well, whoever is under center, the key is will not have to win games by themselves. The O-line should be very good. The running back room loaded up and deep. The receiving crew, they have plenty of talent, some of it unproven, but we think we have some guys with great upside there. And, of course, you have Colston Loveland and some really good young tight ends behind him. Your preseason thoughts on this offense in totality, John?
Well, I've talked to enough guys that I know the feeling in those rooms to know, okay, here's the deal. This offensive line was incredible last year, maybe better than the ones that won the award as the best defensive line in the country. They probably felt like it shouldn't have been given out to the same school 3 years in a row, but I'll tell you what, that was a one dominant offensive line. Now, the guys that played directly behind them are of the mindset that, look, we have played some games. We're not scrubs here. We're going to step up and really do some things and get things going. I think you talk about guys that are motivated and well taught. That's them. And so I think you give it time to see how they're going to, because let's face it, we can talk about that too, but maybe the most challenging Michigan schedule I've seen in the past 33, 34 years.
Yeah.
And but you're right. You've got weapons. Donovan Edwards, he can hit the home run. Now he's going to be allowed to do things on a more play-by-play basis. He'll be a major factor there. But you've got, don't forget, Kellel Mullings is a guy that can really be someone who steps up and gets you some tough yards. You mentioned Colston Loveland. Guy's just going to be a superstar. Maybe the best tight end in college football. He's good enough. He's smooth enough. He's fast enough that I know there are times when they're going to split him out as a wide receiver. So that you talk about something where, okay, is Michigan a little short on wide receivers? You add him to that mix as a flat-out pass catcher going out in patterns. You've got a very solid crew, and the tight ends are deep. I mean, you had guys coming on in spring ball that are demanding to see the field. So I just think that there is a lot of talent there. Two things. This is going to work both ways. Michigan's offense is going to be called upon to make Michigan's defense better. And Michigan's defense is going to be great as it is, but it will be even greater if the offense can keep things moving. But from the offensive perspective, and they won't talk about this much or think about it this way, but Michigan's going to be in every game because of its defense. So the offense is not going to have to score 40 points a game or average 35 or whatever it might be. If you put 28 points on the board out of this offense, you're going to win 90% of your games. And so that should take some pressure off.
Yeah, and the most interesting aspect of the offense to me as I ponder the fast approaching season is what we touched on just a few minutes ago, the new OC and what he will do with it. And we know Jim loved Kirk Campbell. Sherrone, as you mentioned, raves about him. And they seem to have that great chemistry because they shared a desk. They think alike. So it is really going to be fun given that Kirk Campbell knows what he has on the defensive side of the ball as far as complementary football. So it's really going to be interesting to see what he does with that offense, how he builds it throughout the season, isn't it?
No doubt. And I talked to Kirk Campbell directly. As I said, for our football preview, he doesn't want to give too much away, obviously, but he says he'll play to the personnel. The one thing he knows that he's going to have to get done. It can't be a situation where everybody knows Michigan wants to run the football. Michigan wants to smash. Michigan wants to pound. But if those defenses are stacked against, you've got to be able to throw the football down the field. You've got to find creative ways to get it in the hands of your playmakers on the perimeter. And I think Kirk Campbell's all about that, studying what will be the best ways to attack. What weapons does he have? How does he deploy them in ways that will back the defense off, which of course allows you guys up front to start to bully people and allows Kellel Mullings to pop through there and get that 7 or 8 yards, or maybe allows Donovan Edwards the chance to get to the second level, and then he makes the move, and you got Buckeyes trailing in his wake all the way down the field in Columbus. I know that Michigan fans want to see a repeat of that come late November. Yeah, Kirk Campbell is a really, really smart guy. There's no question about that. Very impressive. And I think the very same thing about Sherrone Moore, as you looked at the way he came up with, he just had instant answers. He would look at a defense and say, okay, then we can do this. And that's the way Kirk Campbell is. So I expect a lot of creativity. But again, let's be careful. You've got Texas coming out to shoot in the second game of that schedule this year. So you have to be ready to go. You have to really have some answers for what they're going to throw at you.
So right now, John, we're just 4 weeks before we tee it up for real. And if you do have some concerns about the team, maybe the offense and all of the new pieces or other question marks, what would you say they would be?
Well, you got to start with quarterback, just because that's the position where you lost probably the best QB in the country, or certainly top three. It was a guy that had played a tremendous amount through the one of the best 3-year stretches ever for Michigan football. Guy that the head coach called the best, at least college quarterback Michigan has ever seen. So yeah, those are big shoes to fill. And the thing about it is, I don't think they need to fill them. One guy stepping up. This is going to be at least a couple, I think, involved in it. And but yeah, you have to see not just whether they can lead some of these wipeout games and run the football 40 straight times, but what it's like when it's a fourth quarter game against Texas or Oregon or certainly down in Columbus. How are they going to grow throughout the season? So I think that would definitely be one. I think they have some kickers, but that when you get a little turnover there, you will see special teams. Certainly they have had. I'll broaden it. When you've had a lot of success in that area, you want to see that continue. The one area I just don't have any doubts at all is defensively. Even with a major loss through injury of your top safety, that was a very big loss for Michigan. But you've got guys that are going to be able to step up for Rod Moore, and you have one of maybe the top cornerback in the nation. So I think that this defense, led by Will Johnson there at cornerback, and by those maybe the best defensive tackle combination in the country, will have you in every game. And that should take some pressure off of those areas of concern. We'll see how that plays out.
Well, for all of the reasons you've just mentioned, I know I'm optimistic, and most of the fan base is maybe a little nervous to see how things roll out. And, that opener against Fresno State, that should be interesting because they are no pushover. But you alluded to a little earlier in our conversation about week 2 against Texas coming into the big house. We know what Texas was last year. They're missing a few pieces from that great team, but they are still loaded up. And everyone knows it is a huge test, but it is week 2. So how much do you think we put into that game as far as judging the team, whatever happens, John?
Well, I think you have to put a fair amount into it from the fact that it's a national game. It's a high visibility game. It could be a game that in a year where you've got 12 playoff teams now and an 18-team Big Ten that is going to be very tough to navigate, could be mean a lot if Michigan happened to be at 2 or 3 losses come decision time about the playoffs, and Texas right there as one of those contenders. But I do think that if you drop that game if things don't go your way in that one, it would be in some ways like losing to Notre Dame early in the season back in the old days, back in the 80s. Okay, the season's not over. You can rally and have a great season. It's this whole dynamic where some people are predicting, okay, 3-loss season, but you could very well be in the playoffs. I think that changes things. I really do. So, yeah, Texas will be a big test. If you come out of that game firing at 2-0 and you still don't have to go on the road for a good long while until you head out to Washington on October 5th, you're going to be riding really high for a new head coach and this team.
Yeah, and you mentioned, John, not only, we're pointing towards the Texas game, but that schedule, when you look at it, you mentioned Washington out there, USC and Oregon at home, Ohio State to wrap it up at the end of the year. And that's just to name a few. There are more tough games on that schedule. And you said at the top of the show, maybe the toughest schedule in the last 30 or 40 years. I certainly in my lifetime can't remember a more difficult schedule for Michigan.
No, certainly not. I remember my first season coming in 1991 and Michigan in the non-conference playing at Boston College and playing Florida State. And it was rugged, but this is just crazy. Texas, USC, at Washington. I know Washington lost a lot off their roster, and you have the thought in your mind, well, Michigan ran over Washington. I've been to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to that stadium. It's a different deal. I'll tell you what, they have to gear it up for that game and really be ready, because it will be a tough place to play, and that stadium will be going bonkers. They'll come up the Columbia River on their boats, and they'll have their sailgate and all of that, and they will be ready. I think Oregon at home will be maybe the toughest home game. It's right there with Texas, if not above, because Oregon is going to be loaded this year, I believe. And then, of course, now end of November rolls around, November 30th, and if you don't think Ohio State is geared up for this one, and its head coach is, honestly, the head coach's job might be on the line. Brian Day drops yet another one to Michigan, and especially at home, with a roster that many are saying, hey, this could be the best roster in college football this year. We went out and spent untold dollars to put the best team on the field. So, we're going to see, but it's fun in this sense. How many years have Michigan fans wanted to play the best of the best of the best, and yet they don't want to ever see Michigan lose a game? I think you have a little less pressure there if you drop a tough one along the way, because it's not like, okay, you lose a game and things are right on the borderline. You lose a second, the season's over in terms of any national championship hopes. Here, you drop a couple games and you make the playoff and you're peaking at the right time. It's a whole different feeling. So, I am very anxious to see what kind of effect that has on how we look at how this season plays out.
Well, as we said at the top of the show, we have 4 weeks to speculate, and believe me, we will. And then on August 31st, we tee it up, and we'll get some answers. Until then, there are other storylines to watch surrounding the Michigan football program. We still have those 2 NCAA investigations underway, or whatever's happening with them. Do you expect we'll hear anything new in the coming weeks?
Well, when you have a Netflix special coming that promises to delve into some of what happened and someone telling their story regarding his involvement, you certainly could have developments. I come back to this. When you have the head of the NCAA looking at what Michigan did in its run last year and saying, this team won the national championship fair and square, and you have the guy that it seemed like they were most after. The NCAA, the Big Ten, now out of the picture. I don't see anything nearly on the scale of what Ohio State folks would like to see coming down the pike here, if anything, that significantly impacts this program.
What did you think of Commissioner Petitti last week at the Big Ten Conference? He was, asked if he thought he did the right thing with Michigan last fall, and he seemed to say, yes, he did. He had no other choice. It was interesting to hear that, wasn't it?
Well, it was interesting, but I don't think, he is not in a position where he would want to say, yeah, I kind of screwed up, didn't I? It's just not going to be your response from somebody in that kind of position. But that's, we can certainly disagree with it, because you took someone that you didn't have evidence on out of the picture. And in some of the biggest games of the year. And I'm quite sure that the Harbaughs and the Petittis will never get together over Thanksgiving dinner in the years to come. Yeah. Because, if you're Jim Harbaugh and you're looking back on that national championship season, all the glow of that, and you think you weren't on the field for some of the biggest games down the stretch. And, I have no doubt that stings and will sting for Jim Harbaugh like the Big Ten's vote in 1973 to send Ohio State to the Rose Bowl. So that will be Jim Harbaugh's moment that he'll hang on to, I'm quite sure.
Well, you mentioned we're hearing a lot about this Netflix documentary with Connor Stallions, and that's coming up, I think, August 27th. So really the week of the opener. I would be hard-pressed to believe we're going to learn anything new, would you?
Probably not, but you never know when you have someone who has been vilified in many ways and may want to make himself look a little bit better. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens with that. But if indeed he was acting largely on his own, it would be certainly good for Michigan to have him emphasize that. So, yeah, I don't think that maybe it will be the bombshell that they're hoping for in the lead up to it, but I am, as everyone is, interested in seeing how he approaches this.
Well, final question before we let you get away, John. I have my fabulous Wolverine Magazine football preview issue, and I don't know how you guys do it, but it gets better every year. So for our listeners that maybe aren't subscribers, can I still get a copy?
Absolutely, they can get a copy, and I think your first move would be to call the following number, 800-421-7751, and they can hook you up either for a subscription for the year-round magazine, which comes out monthly and would get you a copy of the football preview now and in the future, or just to order the magazine itself. It's something that is an annual labor of love. We have so much enjoyment doing it. I know I personally got to go back with some of Sherrone Moore's past coaches, including his offensive line coach all the way back to junior college, and delve into a lot of things. You can learn a lot of things about Sherrone Moore, about these players, lots of breakdowns. We try to pack that with information, and I think that one of the greatest compliments I ever got regarding our football preview, the Wolverine football preview, is the legendary John Falk saying, I have that. It stays on my counter or my TV table right beside me when I'm watching games. That was after he had retired and before Jim Harbaugh brought him back. He said that stays right with me through the entire season.
Absolutely. I've been getting it I can't even remember the first time I got it, but it is a must-read for all Michigan fans, no question about it. And we'll get that number in the show notes, John. And For fans who are not subscribers to the Wolverine Magazine or the Wolverine on 3, as I am, you might want to think about that too, because you'll get everything and more than you need during the football season and during basketball season too. So think about that, Michigan fans. So, John, it's always great to have you on the show with us. It is going to be a long and interesting season, and we look forward to having you back for another visit very soon.
I enjoy it. You do a great job, Mike, and I just want to say to everybody out there that we appreciate you listening in, and got to be excited about all that's ahead and unfolding over the next 4 months.
On Quick Hits today, in the coming weeks, we'll have the latest news from Schembechler Hall and continue our previews with several of our Wolverine beat writers. About the only news today was a story reported by Chris Ballas from the Wolverine on 3. He says the NCAA is ready to issue notice of allegations to Michigan on Signgate and other infractions as early as Tuesday, which is tomorrow, or possibly later in the week. On August 27th, I'm sure most of you have heard by now, Netflix will drop their Sign Stealer documentary, which will focus on Connor Stallions. So once again, there will be plenty of that to talk about as we get ready for the season. That does it for now, though. Make sure you tell your Wolverine family and friends about the show, and join us again next week as we continue to preview Team 145 and the upcoming season. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Have a great Wolverine week, everyone. Until we meet again, take care, and as always, go blue. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. That's themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!